Liverpool, a small English port city, is well known as the birthplace of one of the world's most popular music acts, the Beatles. In 1982, it also became the birthplace of the signature song for new wave band, A Flock of Seagulls. Quote, "We'd just been to the Cavern in Liverpool and saw a band play a song and thought, what a great name, although we didn't particularly like the song. And then the next day we saw a picture from the 1950s of a flying saucer and two people running away from it. And because we had this sci-fi thing going on, it was like, look at that. So even though we had the basics of the music already, we went to rehearsal that night and the picture was in my head and we started to try to formulate words about that," said A Flock of Seagulls lead singer Mike Score. The band took these 2 points of inspiration, a song title borrowed from a middling Liverpudlian band, and a sick-as-fuck UFO poster, and created the second single from the self-titled debut album. The single came together quickly, almost too quickly, as the newly hired guitarist Paul Reynolds had joined the band after the song was written and didn't have anything to do on the track at first. Short guitar riffs were added to the single to give the guitarist something to do, and hey, maybe that's the reason the song went on to do so well. The single only hit number 43 in their native UK, but took the number 9 spot in the US, number 7 spot in New Zealand, and number 1 in Australia. The single is by far their most well-known piece, but is it their best? No, not according to Score, who has gone back and forth over the years about his feelings on the song. Quote, "I don't think it's the best song we've got, although it was the biggest hit. I have moments where I think Space Age is a lot better, or Wishing is a lot better. It depends on the mood I'm in, or in the emotional state I'm in at the time. But I like to play it live because the crowd loves it, especially at nostalgia gigs like this tour. You want to give people what they remembered, and they remember it, and they all get into it and have a great time. It puts a big smile on your face," said Score. Perhaps the only thing people are more nostalgic about than this song is Score's avian-inspired haircut, which may have caused more than a few people to turn tail and flee at the sight of him. That's right, we're talking I Ran, brackets so far away, by A Flock of Seagulls on Cover Me. That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that compares famous songs to their many cover versions to find out which one hypnotizes me so. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my tawny co-host,
Alex Mildenberger. I don't know what tawny means.
Tawny, I think, is an orangey brown color. It's a color.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, you couldn't really put like an expressive into that. I guess you could.
Listen to how orange I am.
How orange you are. You could do that, or like a Garfield, I guess. He's tawny.
Sure do love lasagna.
There you go. See?
Fatima made a pretty good lasagna the other day. We're still eating leftovers.
Oh, nice.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
See, you got that Garfield in you.
Yeah. And Mondays?
Fuck them, dude.
Except for this Monday, because it's a holiday. But that doesn't matter,
folks. It doesn't matter that it's a holiday, folks, because by the time you've heard this, the holiday's come and gone.
It's come and gone.
Alex, how are you doing?
Doing all right. A lot of things up in the air. Which is to say, you know, we've got some renovations going on, right?
Right. You're reconstructing your entire
apartment. The entire apartment. No, just the ceiling for the most part. And there's just, you know, things happen. A lot of things to think about. And it's starting like this coming week, so we have to like move a bunch of stuff out because they basically need access to the whole place. Mm-hmm. So we need to move ourselves out. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Do you have to like get furniture out?
Yep.
Shit,
we basically have to empty all the rooms, like all the like things off the walls.
You should put it in your upstairs neighbor's joint.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey,
get them.
Assholes.
Get them to store everything for us.
Yeah.
Well, we're not doing every room, so we're gonna like try to stuff things in rooms that aren't getting done.
Okay.
Like bathrooms, and then we're getting a little storage bin. So it's like moving, but it's not fully moving.
Right. You're gonna move it and like leave that storage bin on the street. And then
exactly.
Come back in a week and then put it all back in.
So like it's going to be time consuming and probably frustrating, but like it's going to be okay.
Yeah, you'll get through it. It sucks, but hey.
And by the time this is out, it'll be all done.
It'll be done, folks. Alex is going to be singing in 2 weeks' time about how great his new ceiling is.
Mm-hmm.
How he can finally jump up and touch it because it's an inch shorter.
It's an inch and a half shorter.
Inch and a half. You had to get the extra half inch there.
Yeah. Just in case.
Just to give you a little leeway. Alex, we're talking just pure 80s classic here.
We are.
A true one-hit wonder, I think.
Yeah, big one. We're doing a lot of like one-hit wonder type or adjacent songs.
Yeah, which wasn't the theme, but sort of a coincidence.
A coincidence. And also, so I realized...
Yeah, that you have the most beautiful eyes.
No, I suggested this song.
Yes.
And it's true that we used to quote this song a lot when we were in junior high school.
For sure.
I think. But I was thinking Break My Stride by Matthew Wilder.
Oh,
which we quoted way more often than this one. I realized that this week. I was like, something seems off about this song. And it's not like I don't know this song. In fact, like, this song is like still on the radio sometimes. Like, I still hear it around.
I would say, yeah, this song has more staying power than Break My Stride. I think it's a little more popular. I like Break My Stride. I like it a lot. This one definitely hangs around more. I had a presentation on Iran. It must have been on Iran because I love to be cheeky with my PowerPoint presentations in high school and junior high. And my opening slide was Iran brackets. Iran so far away.
Yeah, which, I mean, going through the various covers of this, there is one cover that actually does that. And it's by Apologetics, unfortunately.
Oh, right. Who, refers to the name, yes.
And it actually, I don't remember what it's about. A biblical story that involves, like, Persians. Like, one of the Persian empires.
Sure, yeah,
I don't remember which one. I don't remember which part of the Bible it's in, but it is a biblical reference because that's a Christian band.
That's what Apologetics does. Now, I would believe that Apologetics, as grown men, are about as clever as I was in high school.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's exactly.
And I'll tell you this, making references to 80s pop songs did not hit with my peers. Didn't win me the love and adoration and validation I'd hoped for.
Yeah.
But for my 50-year-old social studies teacher, man, we were on the same wavelength.
Yeah, that stuff hits for teachers.
Yeah,
you reference something, they're like, yes, I remember this from high school, and you're like, perfect.
And they'll tell it to the class. They'll be like, flock of seagulls, and the class is like, we don't fucking care. And now we know that the guy doing the presentation is a super huge loser. I'm like, fuck.
But marks. So was it worth it? Probably. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, don't care about the other stuff anymore. I don't really care about the marks either. But...
Yeah, I don't care about the mark. I do remember my presentations, though.
Yeah. So
my favorite, though, is I did a presentation on William Taft, and I took the Willennium cover. Or was it? No, it was Big Willie style, because that was the name of the album, the Will Smith album, and I put William Taft's face over Will Smith's, because William Taft was the fattest president.
Ah, that is fun.
Big Willie style. It was great. Again, didn't win me anything but marks, maybe.
But a chuckle from your teacher, and maybe half a mark.
Yeah, maybe half a mark. But we're not talking about it too. We're talking about a flock of seagulls, who I do think is more known for the haircut, just in terms of the length of their legacy that lives on through comedy. I think there was a big time calling messy haircuts, be like, hey, flock of seagulls, including in the film Pulp Fiction, I believe.
So did
Samuel Jackson calls a guy that.
Oh, I forgot. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. Did they originate this?
Kind of.
Okay.
I think specifically the flock of seagulls is the kind of down front cowlick and the two side cowlicks, mimicking in some sense a bird.
Yeah, because it's like wings.
It's like wings.
But yeah, I guess I didn't realize that. But it's a look you see for a crazy 80s haircuts. It's still kind of somewhat known, at least. And even then, if you watch the music video, it's just, do they even have it in the music video?
Kind of. Really. That's the thing. I watched the music video and I was like, looks like he passes a normal guy today.
Yeah.
For wild haircuts, he'd be just a regular dude.
Maybe a little eccentric, but not that eccentric.
Not that eccentric.
And that's Mike Score, of course. You already mentioned him. I think he's the only consistent band member.
Sure, I'd believe that.
So he's that kind.
He's that
kind of guy.
So, Flock of Seagulls, Alex, obviously neither of us are really familiar with the band beyond this. What do you think about this song, though? You like it?
Yeah, it's catchy enough. I wouldn't put it in my top 100 or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes on, it's fun. It's also it's 1982. It's kind of this earlier synth pop song,
right?
So it's almost you can appreciate it as just another piece of the evolution. I don't think that it was necessarily that influential in any specific way, but obviously they're just part of this kind of movement that's very strongly associated with the 80s.
Right. If anything, they were maybe like a gateway drug for people to get into the crazier new wave.
Yeah, and they're associated with new wave. I guess that's what this would be, but I think of it as synth pop in my head, which, even though they're very similar.
And like what we'll see is they're largely covered by punk bands this week, which, due to the simplicity of the track itself, like makes a lot of sense.
Makes sense.
So yeah, they're pop. I would say they're pop forward, but their styling is definitely new wave. It's definitely punk.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly where it needs to be. I was actually surprised because I was like, yeah, this is another song that's like, it's fine. It was a hit. I don't really think about it that much. And then reading through the lyrics this week and stuff and the inspiration, I was like, actually, this song kind of kicks ass.
Sometimes they break out like that.
Yeah, I think they really like nailed their vision of like a song that is both like meet cute love song and alien abduction song.
Which
I feel like they really hit the bullseye.
There you go. I mean, that's fun, and it's very 80s. I mean, I think they're very Bowie inspired as well.
For sure.
There's like glam and sci-fi in there for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, they're very much a product of this exact era, and I feel like they also hit like exactly what that era wanted, which was alien abduction love songs.
Alien abduction love songs, which is weird to think about. I feel like, well, we're more into vampires now.
Yeah, it's vampires are the big thing. Orcs, there's a big orc wave coming in, you know.
Oh, is that coming in?
I feel like it's been here for a while. A lot of the women, they love these romance novels about fucking monsters.
Oh, okay. I guess orcs fall into the
read
monster.
enough vampire ones, you're like, okay, we get it. What if the dude really looked fucked up, though? Like, because like a vampires is like, what if a dude was young and hot forever? Or lady? It's like, okay, that's fine. That's easy to love. But what if they were like green? You know, we start getting into Shrek fiction here.
And it's a little Shreky. But it's also, I mean, they're often depicted as very muscular.
Yeah, see, that's you got a built-in appeal factory, the beefy boys.
Like muscular and sometimes rotund.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, you can get because you get some softness in there with the big the kind of Norse bodybuilder belly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
They're drinking beer, they're swilling ale, dude.
I would expect no less from an orc, but this is not an orc-related song.
No, not even remotely, but it is a song about aliens, which is interesting because, yeah, we're saying 80s big alien thing, but they're influenced by like a 50s alien poster.
I think...
But the 80s were also big influenced by the 50s.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well.
Other band we've talked about, yeah, not just because of Ronald Reagan, famous actor, being president, but also, like we talked about the Cars before, and like some of their biggest hits have like an intense 50s rockabilly sound behind them.
Yeah, and they've got the like red cars and...
Yeah, even them being called the Cars.
The Cars, yeah. And there's also, what is it? I'm just checking my dates here. Uptown Girl. 50s throwback. The Billy Joel, that's 83. You know, there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's in the air, dude. Grease came out in 1975.
Yeah, but when was the movie?
Grease, 1978. So
okay, late. I mean, you know, decades aren't actually, you know, that
decades aren't real, folks.
Much of a cutoff.
So like that kicks things off. Grease is like, hey, what about 50s throwback? And then we start digging into everything from the 50s. Boom, you get this.
Yeah, so it's there.
It's there. And how's this song? What's this song sound like? What are the lyrics? They're this. I walk along the avenue. I never thought I'd meet a girl like you. Meet a girl like you. With auburn hair and tawny eyes. The kind of eyes that hypnotize me through. Hypnotize me through.
Hypnotizing the... I mean, now we've got our vampire again.
We got vampirism. Or rather, I think broadly the supernatural.
Yeah, I mean, we start to introduce that supernatural element. But otherwise, it's very simple, right?
Yeah.
With like some extra words to make things maybe just fit the meter or whatever. But like, he's just walking and sees a person, but like it's an avenue. Like it's not just a street, you know?
Yeah, it's an avenue.
It needs 3 syllables.
Yeah, you got to fill that space. I thought it was, maybe I was just too Green Day pilled, but I did think he said, I walk a lonely avenue.
Little Boulevard of Broken Dreams.
A little Boulevard of Broken Dreams, but that would have enhanced the fact of him not expecting to meet someone there. And also give us this, avenue. Yeah, it's lonely. He's like, I'm walking, and it could also refer to his lifestyle then. But now, looking at these lyrics, I see I walk along the avenue.
Yeah, but that is a very common theme as well, of like, I am a loner, and you broke me out of my shell, or like showed me that sometimes it's okay to have a friend / relation, you know, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
It's not an uncommon theme.
It's not an uncommon theme. It's really, this one is more of a love at first sight kind of thing, though. He sees this woman, auburn hair, tawny eyes. Which you say the supernatural elements more come in later. Her appearance is a little unnatural. We're talking orange hair and orange eyes.
Yeah, which I think, light brown, right? Like,
yeah, is that auburn?
Auburn. Auburn's like reddish. I don't know.
Tawny is
like
also
an owl. What's a tawny owl look like? Right? Like, it's brown.
Well, tawny is orange brown. And the auburn is sort of orange brown too.
I guess.
Red brown.
I feel like, but I'm looking at tawny owl is also known as a brown owl, and it's just brown.
Sure, but I'm looking more at the description of tawny, the word, versus when you attach owl to it.
But owls. Why are we talking more about owls?
The song is about aliens, not owls.
Yeah, there's some, I guess, it's like brown to brownish. Like, it's fairly brown forward, but orangey. It's not a color I use very often.
Which one, auburn or tawny?
Well, both, but tawny more so.
Yeah.
Auburn is a color I know better than tawny.
Well, there you have it. I think there's something unnatural about her hair and eyes being so similar in color.
I will also say this. I read a Star Trek book where one of the characters had auburn hair, and one of the important things about it was that they were kind of an alien, I think.
Hey.
I gotta reread that. I could be misremembering that entirely. But Star Trek has aliens in it.
Star Trek has aliens in it. Some of them have auburn hair.
I did, learn the word auburn originally in my life from science fiction. So, hey, there's a connection.
So there you go. And since it's true for you, it must be true
Very
for the world at large.
Word. Yeah, it's true for everybody.
Yeah, and then the kind of eyes that hypnotize me through. I always thought it was hypnotize me so, but through, I guess, works too. Fully, completely.
You really chews it up.
Yeah, it's that kind of song.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, he's been struck by this woman who I'm arguing has a sort of unnatural or perhaps supernatural presence to her.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the idea we're kind of playing with, the idea of love and alien abductions both being in some sense supernatural.
I like seeing someone and being a bit put off, but also entranced.
Yeah, I don't know if he's put off.
Well, he ran away.
Well, because he knows that he can't get into this right now. He's too busy for this shit.
So I guess put off in there's some apprehension at least.
It's like when because they hypnotize him, so he knows that it's not what's going down. It's like when you shouldn't be, if you're a drug user and you find yourself at a bar, you're like, I can't fucking be here.
Right. Fair enough.
So that's what I think.
There's danger.
You know that there's danger.
Doesn't necessarily mean you don't want to involve yourself.
Yeah, you can be tempted by things and go the other way. So we come to the course, and I ran so far away. I ran all night and day. I couldn't get away.
And of course, the running could be a metaphor as well. He's trying to get away. He can't get away.
Yeah, whether this is emotional running, physical running, literal, metaphorical, he's trying to escape.
He could have made eye contact with Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, who, as
Jason
we all know,
Voorhees type.
Jasona Voorhees, because it is a girl.
Yeah, exactly.
the classic feminine name, Jasona.
Jasona, yeah. You gotta, you find your inner Jasona, and then you start killing people? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what that game is, Jasona.
Jasona, yeah.
Verse 2, Alex. A cloud appears above your head. A beam of light comes shining down on you. The cloud is moving nearer still. Aurora Borealis comes in view.
I gotta love that new wave enunciation.
It's the best.
What a strange trend. I know we still have that. Not the trend of everyone kind of sings in a particular way for genres, right?
Yeah.
It's just what a strange singing style that became fairly common for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's I'm curious if that's good technique or not. I don't think it is. But I don't know it's probably just for the sort of personality of it all, more so than if I sing like this, I can hit higher notes or something like that.
Yeah, it's because coming up at the same time as punk rock, which was less about technique and more about passion. Yeah, New wave is maybe more about that personal expression, right?
I think so.
So I visualize these two genres coming up as like the fringe coming in, you know? And so that's why you get sort of these weirdo styles, some of this naive music styles, is because it's just weird dudes being weird.
Yeah.
On a mic.
It became very cool to be like this.
Yeah, and then it became cool to be weird. It became hip to be square.
It changes.
It was a wild time.
It was a wild time. But the verse itself, I mean, this is kind of your UFO description, right?
Yeah. But also you're like, look at this incredible woman description.
Yeah, exactly. It's the metaphor of I'm seeing something amazing and like there's a spotlight on it. Metaphorically, because it's the only thing I can see kind of thing. Versus like, oh, he's describing a UFO. Like, like flying down and like creating a beam of light.
Yeah. And then the Aurora Borealis comes in view. Yeah,
which is fun. And also space related, of course, but also like just this wonderful thing to look at.
Yeah, a beautiful piece of nature, much like the woman in front of him.
Yeah.
It's this once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. I've
seen a few Aurora Borealis.
Aurora Borealis. See. What am I saying? First verse, what I like about the second verse is that like the end isn't really furthering anything, you know? It's like, and then I saw the aurora.
Yeah,
it kind of is, you know, in terms of like it's bringing up space, it's describing something. But compared to verse 1 where it's like I'm hypnotized by the sight of you, like that's more concrete.
Yeah, it's sort of like a 3-verse shift from love song to abduction song. And so the verse 2 is truly the mid-space, where if you know the full song, you can see how it's shifting into the third verse.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know it, it feels still like it's the first verse, because it still feels like a love song. We're just bringing in some beautiful nature metaphors, beam of light, clouds, the Aurora Borealis.
I think it's a little more explicit in verse 3.
In verse 3, so yeah, we get the chorus again, exactly the same. We get guitar solo. Verse 3, reached out a hand to touch your face. You're slowly disappearing from my view, appearing from my view. Reached out a hand to try again. I'm floating in a beam of light with you, a beam of light with you. Which even still, like, this is explicitly alien abduction, but there is something romantic about floating in a beam of light with you.
Yeah, it's glowing, obviously, so like there's that. They're sort of isolated and together.
Yeah, it's enhancing that like spotlight view from verse 2.
Yeah, he's just joined them.
Yeah.
And now they're touching. But she's also like, I mean, I don't know how else to interpret the disappearing from my view thing other than the like, oh, I need to like chase or something. Or he's running away, but now he's not running away because he's in the thing. But, you know, it's like the teleporter, right?
Yeah.
More Star Trek.
She's getting beamed up by Scotty.
Exactly. Or whomever.
It's only Scotty, Alex. Classic Star Trek only.
Okay.
I
forget the character's name. I referenced the actor's name there. So
weak, Alex.
Chief engineer.
All the Trekkies are going to be after us.
Probably not chief engineer. Teleporter.
Definitely not.
I haven't watched. Oh my god, I haven't watched Next Generation in a long time. I haven't watched any TNG.
It's been so long, Alex. They call it Last Generation now.
I know.
You're slowly disappearing from my view could also be like this woman who's been described as sort of a dream in the past 2 verses. She has an unnatural look about her. She's got a beam of light on her. There's the Aurora Borealis. This we could very well have been exposed to. It was all a dream in this third verse.
It was all a dream, or like everything's so bright, maybe metaphorically bright. I can't look at it directly.
You're slowly disappearing from my view because he's blinded.
Yeah, by the light.
Revved up like a goose.
Like a goose, exactly. Or a seagull, perhaps.
Perhaps.
Some kind of waterfowl. Although I don't think a seagull is technically waterfowl. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I guess not. It's not foul enough.
Yeah.
Or water enough, for that matter.
Yeah, it's more of a... You remember that joke back in the day that was like, why do they call them seagulls if they fly over the bay? They should call them bagels.
Oh yeah, it's bagels.
That one hit really hard at the youth group, I gotta say.
It's pretty good.
It's not bad. It's not a bad little pun there. And I do like a good bagel, so.
Hey, who doesn't? But do you think he's using the same hand both times?
To try again? Yeah, I think he is. I would.
Yeah.
I'm pretty like right hand dominant though. My left hand cannot do anything.
Right. I feel like it depends. Like, because like if he reaches out, because I do picture him running too, because he ran so far away. But maybe this is the other confusing element of this song is that he says he ran, but it really feels like he's stationary the whole time.
Yeah, it kind of has both of those. The song feels like it's moving though.
Oh yeah.
And then like the description is like I saw something, but he also says he ran away, but he clearly like went from seeing someone to being next to them, right? But the motion doesn't happen in the verses, which maybe makes sense. It's like the verses are like a snapshot, like a flash of light, like when you have like a strobe light or something, and then like the motion happens, and then you get another image.
Right.
And I do think the song kind of does convey that feeling, which is pretty cool.
I think you're right. I think I agree with that.
Of like he's really intensely describing the thing he sees and then describing some motion vaguely, and then is like, now there's another snapshot. Right. Other than maybe like there is time passing in the verses, but the images are kind of static.
Well, yeah, because if you combine the verses together, we're talking about an encounter that maybe takes, depending on the speed of the cloud.
It feels fast.
Like it feels quick, right? It's a very brief moment in time, which I think adds to the romance appeal of this.
I said all those things. I can't back them up. He's talking about walking. He's talking about the beam of light coming down and things coming into view, the Aurora Borealis specifically, and like slowly disappearing. So I can't actually back up the thing I just said. I just want to back that up.
You want to back up that you're backing. You can't back it up.
I still think it feels that way, but the verses do describe things changing.
I feel like the song emotionally feels correctly. Even the chorus, I ran, like we understand the fear of this encounter, the understanding that it's perhaps too good to be true, that there is something else going on, or that he just can't trust himself to be in love with an Aubrey tawny woman. Like, there is like it feels emotionally true, even if we look at the events. If we're looking at this like a detective, this doesn't make sense unless, as much as he is running, this woman and her beam of light and the cloud are fucking hoofing it after him. Which then is crazy.
That's a little crazy. Or he's being chased by aliens.
Yeah. But yeah, we get this final image. Reach out a hand to try again. Floating in a beam of light with you. So they're being abducted. They have a moment together, briefly, like truly suspended in a beam of light.
Yeah.
They're removed both from this alien cloud, Aurora Borealis, that's going to abduct them, and from the Earth. They're in this beautiful moment in time, suspended in space.
It's very visual, eh?
It's very visual. And like that picture, I was like, oh, fuck, this is great. Like, that's such a good, like overlay of the two ideas. Love song, alien abduction. Here's where they meet.
Yeah, it's like a verbal storyboard. I'm sure there's a word for that.
Maybe. But
anyway,
yeah,
it's fun.
It fucking rules. It's great.
Yeah.
That's the whole song. There's another I ran so far away I couldn't get away. They couldn't get away, Alex.
They couldn't get away.
We're going to talk about the instrumentation. I want to briefly talk about the instrumentation of Happy Together last week.
Okay.
Just because I just remembered this as I was editing the episode for last week. We talked about how that song was inspired by a man tuning his guitar during shows.
Sure.
And we kind of joked. We're like, okay, I can't really hear what that is. It's in the chorus, right? Ba 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 ba.
Where it's like a scale.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Dun, 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 and it climbs back up. That's the dude hitting the strings. And it is the same spacing, I believe, as your standard tuning guitar.
Oh, so they're just doing that. Okay, I did not pick up on that. That's a good addition to last week.
Yeah. Go listen to last week's episode if you haven't. And if you have, listen to it again with that in mind. It's going to fucking crack everything wide open.
Everything will change for you.
Everything's going to change for you. Just wanted to bring that up. Let's talk about the instrumentation of this.
Please,
which is, like we've kind of set up, it's pop, new wave, punk. It's all three at once, predominantly pop. The song is 145 beats per minute.
It's fast.
It's in the key of A minor, if you can believe it.
Yeah, minor keys are fun. I think we're going to be sticking with minor keys for a couple episodes now.
Hey, you
gotta love it. If I'm remembering correctly. I won't bring that up again ever, though, so you have to remember that.
Hey, did you know this was the theme song for the English dub of Saint Seiya?
No, I did not know that. But that's kind of like, there's like some trivia. Where was it? Somewhere in South America, they played they used like Tom Sawyer as the theme song for what's it called? MacGyver or something like that. So sometimes these things happen. It's weird. The connections are weird though, right? Like, why would you use a random pop song? But it was just last week. Was it last week that we were talking about the What's New Scooby-Doo theme?
Yes, because we were talking about Simple Plan.
Yeah. These things happen sometimes.
They do.
Maybe they should happen more.
And why did they use it in a hit anime? Because it sounds cool as hell. Here we go.
Sounds cool as hell.
We open this song, surprisingly, for being, like we said, a pop song, has like a full fucking minute, or at least, what is it, 45 seconds of just instrumentals? It does.
This is not the single version that we listened to.
No.
So I don't think this is the one that gets as much radio play, but I don't know.
A minute and a half. The actual vocals kick in at 1:34.
Yeah.
So we get that much preamble.
Lots of synth too. Like, you get like this really low drone right off the bat, and then there's like descending, like, it's almost like an electronic version of like a rain stick. You know? That sound of like, I put a bunch of dry rice in a tube with things to hit.
Yeah, and you're hearing it run down there.
Yeah.
Totally.
So they have that feel. Not really the exact same sound, of course, but similar feel. There's also like ambient jungle sound effects. It kind of sounds like, to me, like there's a monkey in the background. Does that make sense?
I'm listening for it.
I don't know. There's just like sounds, and it's like general cacophony, but it's the background.
Yeah, you're maybe getting caught up in just the synth of it all, which there is a lot of sounds in there.
Yeah, a lot of things fading around.
And especially with, like you said, that rain stick sort of chittering that goes throughout that.
Maybe it's the chittering. There's birds in those trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's even a distant like laser kind of sound. But yeah, a lot of synth. And that's before
very spaced out. We've got like the low kind of drone too, just filling out the bottom. And then cymbals start coming in too on the drums.
Yeah, we get cymbals. So we get cymbals first, and then like the drum beat. Yeah, because it's kind of that cymbal roll. And then the drums come in, drums and bass.
Yeah, drums and bass in classic form come in at about 45 seconds.
Which, like, bass is they're pretty regular. Getting a nice bass groove.
Yeah, that's keeping the song moving. Like you said, it feels like the song is running. Yeah. That's where a lot of that is coming from.
Absolutely. And that snare, big snare, real big snare.
Yeah.
I guess that's the reverb. I don't know if it's like the like huge gated reverb, but you really get a lot from that snare.
Yeah. Now, are we sure all of that like stuff in the intro is synth, or is there some guitar in there as well?
Some of that like might be like slow like guitar strumming.
A little sliding guitar with a bit of strumming.
We definitely get guitar in the next section. So there's like another higher synth that joins the like string synth.
Oh yeah, that big, like, it really fills it out there.
And then you get, actually, if there's another guitar first. I do think there's a guitar. Where is it? They're playing like a muted guitar. This is after that synth comes in. So like 104 time period, you get the
doing the bass line. Yeah. Similar to it anyway.
But it's like quite muted. So they're either muting or they're strumming close to the what's it called? The thingy. The end of the string.
Oh my gosh. Not the bridge, but the
other end.
The other end.
Which end is the nut?
The nut end.
Okay. I'm forgetting my guitar parts. I haven't reviewed that in a while.
Yeah, me neither. But yeah, you're right. So that it has less of a ring out to it, so people don't know, depending on where you play in the strumming section of your guitar, whether it's closer to the fretboard or closer to the. Wait, is it one end the fretboard, the other end's the bridge?
Well, the fretboard is like the whole neck, basically.
Yeah. So, but which means if you're playing closer to the fretboard.
Oh, I see. I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know it is the bridge. It is the bridge.
Yeah, okay. So if you play it closer to the bridge, which is where you run the strings through initially when you're stringing your guitar, there is less vibration to it.
Yeah,
because you're so close to this very taut point of the string, so you get a duller sound, less ringing out, less echo, and that's what it kind of sounds like here.
Exactly. Got the bridge and the nut mixed up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because the nut is on the neck, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yeah. So you get that one first, and then 110, you get the echoed chords in. That's
the other guitar part. Yeah, exactly. So that's where we definitely get the guitar in. And we're still on intro. We're
still on intro, folks.
Then the other chords come in.
We kind of do like it's almost like a verse chorus instrumental here because you hit 120-ish. We get that like a big chord. Yeah,
you get that sustain, a little bit of the wah or chorus. I always get my guitar effects mixed up too. I really got to review those as well.
Come on, Alex. Letting the team down here. You're supposed to know all this tech gibberish.
I know the words.
Supposed to make
Do I have
puns.
To know what they mean?
Yeah, that would be preferable.
That does make things work a little better.
So 134, we hit the actual structure of the song, led in by what I understand to be the late edition guitar riffs.
Yeah, that's a pretty iconic part too. Very short, repetitive riff.
Yeah, and another part giving it that movement energy.
Yeah, it keeps moving, right?
Yeah,
and then just jumps up for a quick thing and then goes back down.
Yeah.
So very rhythmic. Interestingly enough, so the verse chord progression is a vamp. It's 2 chords, which is famous. I mean, to me, a vamp is what you do when you're not moving.
Oh, okay.
Right? Sure, you're just going back and forth between 2 chords.
Right. I could see that. This is A minor and G that we go back and forth between.
Yeah, and it also kind of gets used. I mean, the other song that I always think of when I think of vamps is Dancing in the Dark. Okay. Which is also kind of about feeling stuck.
Right.
Or wanting to break it.
So back to your unback-upable argument about the movement of this song.
Yeah.
The verses have...
Literally not moving.
Are literally not moving because they're just moving back and forth between these 2 chords. Yeah, that's cool. Because then in the chorus it's F, G to A minor.
Yeah,
so we get that full...
chord cycle thing.
We finally have 3 chords and the truth.
3 chords? The truth? Probably. He ran.
Couldn't get away. He ran.
Once you get to the chorus, familiar elements, everything's a little different. The guitar is doubling the vocal melody at this point. So just reinforcing that with little licks between lines. You gotta have little licks between lines.
Yeah.
And then of course there's backup vocals.
Yeah.
They're quite detached sounding as they often do. They double the lead vocal. It's very new wave sounding, as you have implied. And then of course, they do the big cut down right at the last line. Everything cuts down. I couldn't get away for that bit.
Yeah. So then that's the thing to say is the transition from verse to chorus is seamless. It really doesn't feel like a big shift, even though we're getting that extra chord in there now.
Yeah, and then when we get out of it, it's stop everything, back into the echoey guitar part.
Yeah.
And then because there's kind of a short-ish, but not that short musical interlude after the chorus.
Oh yeah, kind of back to bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, just for a bit, just so we get back into that riff before we jump. And then, it's like playing the end of the intro before we do another verse.
Yeah. Second verse and chorus are pretty much the same.
Pretty similar. I think the drone, because there's a synth drone on the verse, it's louder now.
Yeah, it kind of comes in on that instrumental break and then is there.
So, it's sensible. We had it in the intro too. It's just getting louder as we go, so we're building.
But we got this movement, we got the vocals going, there's enough interesting elements in this song going on that it doesn't need a whole lot of extra flash and flare coming into the second verse and chorus. But then after that, we do a cool drum roll to guitar solo move that's fucking great.
Yeah, we do. Extended drum fill. It's quite long. I feel like it's at least 6-ish seconds long, which is fairly long for a drum fill.
Totally.
If I timed everything right. But with like guitar strumming too, right? They're like both kind of playing together.
Yeah, it starts just the drums. The guitar rises in because it's going to take over. It sounds great. I was like, damn, and then you watch the music video and it's like, oh, it's the simplest shit he's doing.
It is very simple. Even listening to it, it's like he's mostly, like he's got a lot of echo and he's playing a lot of repeated notes. You know, like.
Yeah, I was talking about the drums, but yeah, also the guitar is very simple.
It's all quite simple. Which I guess is part of at least this early like new wave ethos. I also think, I mean, in many ways, as we've said before, punk rock and new wave are like very closely related and like grew out of similar attitude. And in some cases at the time were like not differentiated. Like I have heard the accusation that like the distinction between the two was more for marketing than anything.
I would argue that's true, especially as we talk about it more and more. It really becomes a delineation of what we considered these genres, where it's like, oh, punk is more like closer related to hard rock, whereas new wave is closer related to what becomes synth pop.
Yeah, and the other, I mean, I think you could call them separate genres just because there's different ways you can define a genre, right? And that's something that I saw something about fairly recently where it's like you can just define a genre based on its aesthetics, and that's, you know, the sounds and what the band looks like and things like that and how they perform. But you can also define it based on like values.
Yeah.
So they have very similar values, but different aesthetics.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is.
Yeah. So there you go.
So yeah, they're essentially, because yeah, if you look at it, like punk is like anti-authority, anti-mainstream, and it's more clear every time we talk about another new wave song. It's like, well, they were also that.
Yeah, and then like maybe they became more of the mainstream to an extent.
To an extent.
At least that's what I believe about the 80s, having not been there. But that was still their values, you know?
Yeah. So that's why you get artists like weird outsider artists who still kind of get their time in the headlines. You look at Talking Heads, you look at even the Cars, I think, who are like a pop hit machine, but also they're very new wave in their style and structure.
I know, it's always weird when you get someone like, well, my perspective of the Cars is like they did the pop hits, but it was like that was because they wanted to, and like that was the style of music they wanted to create.
Yeah,
and you also get that from like for a even more successful example, like Michael Jackson, or someone like that.
Yeah, so it's the nature of pop is very odd, in that some people come to do pop because they want to make money and be part of the pop machine. Some people come to it because they love what popular music sounds like. We talked about Frank Zappa last week.
Yeah.
And we briefly mentioned his album Cruisin' with Ruben and the Jets.
Sure.
Which he made just because he fucking loved R&B music.
Yeah.
And like doo-wop and shit. So he like makes that. And
no one knows what to do with it because it's still Frank Zappa.
Yeah, because it's still a weirdo making doo-wop music. They're like, well, this guy doesn't get radio play. He's a freak. He makes weird freak songs.
Yeah.
And now here's his weird freak doo-wop album.
Sometimes.
And so you get some of that with the Cars, but they're a little more marketable, I think.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Definitely. I wonder, bringing this back to the song, I was going to wonder, do you think there is a respect in the guitar community for solos, like simple solos like this, where we're working more with sustains than we are with like fast finger picking and big slides and shit?
That's interesting. I think it varies. There's another, like, in terms of the thing I said before about, like, genres having specific values. It kind of depends on the genres, because some genres very much value technical proficiency.
Right.
Oh, more so than others.
I would look at like jazz and certain subgenres as metal.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. And even like some like hard rock as well.
For sure.
You know, you can get those like Van Halen types where you're like, oh, they're, you know, these like virtuoso players. But the big thing about them, obviously, the big thing you talk about is like they play fast and accurate or whatever, right?
Right.
Which is not really the whole picture when you talk about virtuosity, because there's like a lot more to creating music, and being a virtuoso is like about having like very good technique and stuff. Like that's in there for sure, but like there's also just, you know, the ability to express yourself. And I think it can be a little more difficult to like that's more personal, right? When you're like listening, so maybe not everyone would pick up on that. And I do think there is sometimes a trend when talking about players to be like, well, they're not the most technically proficient one. And this isn't guitar, but we see that in like Ringo Starr in the Beatles a lot, where it's like he's not the best drummer, but like
he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles.
Exactly. But like I like the drums he plays, so like what does that take away because he's not like playing super fast? Like I like the pattern he's playing.
Right. And you do get ones where like somebody is an incredible drummer specifically because they're not suited for that genre. Like the drummer for the Rolling Stones was a jazz drummer.
Yeah.
And so he brings that.
Was it Charlie Watts?
Charlie Watts, that's correct.
I believe. And then we also fairly recently talked about John Bonham. We talked about Led Zeppelin and how like at the time he wasn't even really considered a very good drummer, and now he's considered like one of the all-time great rock and roll drummers. Or like some people, like critics may have not apparently there were some critics who said he wasn't a very good drummer, but like it's kind of about their values. So since it's so like tied to your values, it's tough to say. And I've completely forgotten the original question.
Would people say this was a good solo?
Would people say this was a good solo? And I guess the answer is some people, and I think that it fits the song quite well.
I think it fits the song. I think you could docket marks for essentially being the vocal melody.
Yeah.
But like a little gassed up, you know, put a little English on it, a little mustard, but I think it works for the song.
Yeah.
To go back to your Ringo argument.
I don't know that it's an amazing song. I don't hear the solo and I'm like floored or anything.
Yeah, I'm not like, I gotta pick up and play this on guitar.
Yeah, but I don't know that a solo needs to be that.
Yeah, sometimes a solo just needs to kind of stretch the part of the song you already like and make you look at it a little differently.
I would never call it bad or wrong.
But some people would. That's our opinion on solos. If you enjoyed that, great. If you didn't, that's why we don't often talk about solos for extended periods of time.
Because it's tough, because it's so much like, well, yeah, you know, it sounds cool, but like you can't really judge a solo.
Yeah, it's like, or, who can judge art?
Different people like different things. I think it's cool. I don't know if I would be like, I gotta learn this solo.
Yeah.
Personally. Like, I know, like some that I would want to. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I like it. So we get that solo. We hit the third verse. We get another solo at 4:32.
We do. This
pretty
one
similar.
Mostly it's like in a higher register now.
Oh yeah.
Still quite repetitive. But this is kind of like the end of the song now, so we're kind of playing out.
Yeah, it's almost more just doing a riff repetitively. Which is like another type of solo. Yeah,
just like repeating. And there's even I remember watching a thing about like one note solos, which was like kind of more popular. I mean, you don't talk 50s throwbacks. Like saxophone songs from like 50s, 60s, maybe more in the 60s. I forget the exact time frame, but like those when like saxophone was a big part of like rock and roll, you know. And then you'd be like, this is my saxophone solo, and be like, you know, like same note, but like with a rhythm, you know.
Right.
So it's like more about the rhythm and that kind of thing. Like you could be considered virtuosic.
Yeah, to have that mastery of rhythm that
with
you
one
can use one note,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Not even changing that. So this is more complex than that, but it's just like a short riff.
Yeah, and I think it's more meant to just keep that energy up before we crash here at the end.
Yeah,
maybe it's meant to represent the feeling of being abducted.
Yeah, and it is simple, but again, feels effective. Like you said, it keeps things up. And it feels great.
And then we hit that echoed chord on the guitar again, that one we've talked about a few times already.
Just fading out on that, right?
Yeah, and that's our fade out.
So, yeah, it is quite repetitive. I suspect there's like some sequencing or sort of sequencing adjacent.
Yeah, we see
stuff.
Score work in the Moog in the music video, so I wouldn't be surprised to see sequencers at use here. Like you said, it's maybe a bit experimental for the time. And we've talked about songs before, even from this era, where it's like one of the members of Blondie got a fucking new synth, and so they just wanted to play with it, and this is the result.
Right, that's always fun.
Yeah.
Like, this is a totally new thing no one's heard before. I got my hands on one. Let's try to do something with it. Now it's mundane, but back then it was like, wow, completely different.
They made an arpeggio.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other thing that's easy to forget is like with the synth stuff, even though synth is more of a mundane thing now, a lot of what was going into it in the early days was sound design. You know, you had to make the sounds yourself on your synthesizer. So maybe there's more of that. I can't say that for certain, but you know, that's the kind of thing that adds complexity that you don't necessarily notice.
Yeah, and it's some of these songs are like iconically known synth sounds here. Like nothing on this is wild and crazy.
Yeah.
But at the time, getting to that result might have been quite a journey, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Making your patches, which people still do today, but there's just so much more out there that individual sounds are less like, ooh, listen to that new thing.
Yeah, it's the delineation. It's the same with like the advancement of graphics on video games. The leaps are getting smaller and
diminishing
smaller.
returns.
Yeah. But we got to return to talking about music videos from the year 1982.
We do.
Sort of the first year of MTV. So this is why music videos in this era are quite interesting, because they're a little scrappier. They haven't quite found their footing as to what music videos can be. So this is directed by Tony Vanden End. What a name. And this is a quote from Mike Score about the music video. He says, "The Iran video is just basically being stupid. You know, stand here, the camera is going to be in the middle, and you're going to try and do something." And of course, we had no idea what to do in a video. Videos were not the mini movies yet. It was up to the band. If it was up to the band, we probably would have just stood there in our wild gear and gone, "Okay, we'll just pretend to play." But they wanted a little bit more angular and quirky. It seems to me that all the early videos had to be quirky. I guess nobody was taking them seriously until somebody dropped $1 million on one. Quote from Mike Score, I think that last line being a reference to Ashes to Ashes, famously one of the most expensive music videos of the time.
Right. Early expensive video.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this video is also apparently an homage to Brian Eno and Robert Fripp's No Pussyfooting album cover.
Yeah, because of all the mirrors. I didn't realize that existed. Fripp and Eno. That's fun.
Fripp and Eno, man, two of the greats.
That's quite a group.
The first guys to think about putting people in a room with a bunch of mirrors.
Yep, first time anyone made mirrors point towards each other.
Yeah.
Never happened before.
It took us till 1973 to figure that one out.
That's when mirrors became inexpensive. No, I don't know. Definitely not true.
Yeah, nobody had access to mirrors like commercially before that time. No, right. So that's the kind of the basis of this music video.
Yeah. And it does feel scrappy, like they kind of wanted to do a narrative but didn't really actually put a narrative in there. But there's a lot of like visual interest going on, which is more than I can say about a lot of videos. A lot of this video is let's watch one or more band members do their thing and perform, but it's not the same as, I mean, we see that all the time, but they're also like, the camera's moving, you know, or they're rotating or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like a steady cam rotation. So the whichever musician, whichever member of the band is playing is centered in shot and rotating in the room.
Yeah, rotating with the camera.
With the camera.
And then the background, you can see like all the mirrors behind them. So there's a lot of visual interest happening. And then there's like smoke and lights and stuff. The band are dressed up. Most of them are wearing just like white shirts with darker like slacks. But then the lead singer is
Michael Score.
He's got this like red, rough, like frilly, not frilly, but like ruffled, like kind of mod style like shirt on.
Yeah, and his big hair.
And his big hair, of course.
Which doesn't quite have the signature like Flock of Seagulls-ness to it, but it is like it's big, it's teased, it's out.
Yeah.
Perhaps a crazier haircut is the drummer who's doing the Dracula, like severe Dracula widow's peak, which we also saw almost a year ago now in Fine Young Cannibals and their cover of the song that's in Shrek 2 in the potion scene.
Ever Fallen in Love?
Yeah, Ever Fallen in Love with someone you shouldn't have.
Yeah, shouldn't have. Yeah, he's got the real, like, the Widow's Peak plus, like, seems to have specifically, like, glued his hair down so it's pointier.
Yeah, so you really see it come to a point there. So those are your guys visually. We get the spinning in the rooms. One of the rooms has tinfoil laid out on the ground.
Yeah, there's also, like, tinfoil. Actually, it seems like they've put tinfoil around the camera tripods.
Oh, that's smart, so that you like don't see them as much.
Yeah, so you can see. I didn't notice they were cameras until just now, but there's cameras on top of them.
Yeah, you can see that. You can see them turning. While this is happening, we also get these sort of dancer women in like PVC outfits with some what I can only describe as like geisha style makeup. Yeah,
with like rectangles painted around their eyes.
Yeah,
very, very sci-fi, like old school sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
So they could be aliens. They could just be future people or androids or something.
But yeah, you watch that like around 47 seconds is the first instance of it. The light sparkle effect they get on their eyes.
47 seconds?
Yeah, 47 seconds.
Timestamps aren't working.
Ow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that fucking just
my gosh. Very
white
fun.
star that they put on there. It's like, that's a real flash.
That's cool. They have now, because they're looking right at the camera.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. It happens a couple times.
Yeah, they do some dancing. They kind of like crowd Mike's score in this space, and he's trying to get out of the mirror room.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he can't get away because he's locked in a room with them.
Yeah, running at any speed or length is not going to help you in that case.
He's just like in an actual corner, and they're like awkwardly moving around him.
Yeah, and of course, because you're looking not only at them, but all their million reflections, it creates this sense of like crowding of unescapability.
Yeah. So it's cool visually. There's a lot more going on than like most of the time. It's also fun because sometimes you can see like the rotating platform in the mirror.
Oh yeah.
They have not taken much care to make that not seen, and that's fun.
Yeah,
it makes you feel scrappier.
Yeah, it's a sort of thing where they're confident you're not going to get tired of looking at Mike Score's face.
Yeah. And it did take me until today to get to that point. So
yeah, truly, first time it worked on me like a charm. Now I'm like, oh yeah, you can see everything there. Their next bit of cutting edge special effects is around 207.
Oh, with the like sound wave?
Yeah, the sound wave coming around the bottom of the screen there.
Like real crackly sound waves during the guitar solo.
Fun, but then dropped like immediately.
Yeah,
like
never
2 seconds later.
That's most of what happens in the video. They're like they show the other things again. Mike's still trying to get away. Fortunately, they're slow, so he's mostly safe as long as he keeps moving.
Yeah, slow and possibly not just violent.
Yeah. Actually, the sound waves do come back right at the end.
Oh, sick. Thank
For the
God.
second guitar solo.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. But other than that, like, that's kind of it.
Yeah, we get all of the band in the room with the two women as well at one point.
Oh.
To fully crowd. That's around like 3:20. Started maybe like 3:16.
Okay, yes. When everyone's in the room. It's a tight room. You can tell when everyone's in there.
Yeah.
It's a squeeze.
And it would be so fucking hot in there with that lighting. That's a sweaty set, my dude. Especially bouncing off all the mirrors.
I don't doubt that.
Cooking, brother. But that's the music video. Yeah, it was 1982. This is the same time as Eye of the Tiger. It's the same time as Safety Dance, which we talked about the other week. And pretty close to Never Gonna Give You Up, but I think a little earlier than that.
Wasn't Never Gonna Give You Up like 80? I
want to say like 85.
5, yeah. Or 7?
It could be as far. 87, you're right. Good call, Alex.
Yeah.
But that's the music video. That's the song, which means we got to talk about covers right after this short break.
We're
back talking covers of I Ran, brackets, I Ran So Far Away. It's just so far away, isn't it?
I know. Yeah, so far away. There is a note on the Wikipedia page about how someone referred to this song as a disaster for Iranian American children.
Oh, yeah, there's a stand-up comedian who has a bit about it.
Who's Iranian American. He's like, this sucked because everyone sang this song at you.
Yeah, I believe that.
That sounds very believable.
But I wouldn't believe that they'd be singing the 1987 version delivered by Pink Lincolns.
No, definitely not.
This is a punk band from Tampa, Florida.
Florida, yes.
Vocalist Chris Barrows and guitarist Dorsey Martin being the sort of two main members who stick around. They did a split album with Screeching Weasels, who we talked about
there's
recently.
your association with things we've talked about recently. That was on the Linger episode.
Right. A song that's still stuck in my head.
Yep. Absolutely. It lingers. For some reason. But yeah, so we're moving into this. This one definitely, I mean, we talked about how the music video was scrappy. I think this whole thing feels very scrappy.
Yeah, not only is it punk and like a harder edged punk sound, it is lo-fi as hell.
Yep.
It sounds like we're recording direct from the garage or direct from the other side of the bar they're performing at, one of the two. It's pretty classic punk of this era.
Yeah, but also like without any monetary backing, because by 87,
which is real punk, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Garage recording kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you got big clanging drums. You got power chords on the guitars ringing out.
Yeah, I mean we've moved all to the guitar, right? There's no synth here.
We're synthless.
We are synthless. We're just doing mostly like heavy distorted guitars, and then it plays the riff.
Yeah. Which is a great riff. It's obvious that punk would want to do that riff.
Good riff.
And of course, really rough punk folk.
Yeah. Gruff, shouty, like kind of Iggy Pop neighborhood.
Yeah.
I thought just territory. The way he kind of, it's a little lower in the way Iggy Pop is. They do get like some backup vocals just on the like repeated lines. So you get the Meet a Girl Like You and like that part of the lyrics. The last lines, Meet a Girl Like You.
Yeah, Meet a Girl Like You, yeah, which is basically taken from the original. There's a similar backing vocal pattern there.
Mm-hmm. There's lots of very similar parts to the original. They have new, like, punky sounds with the guitar, more aggressive sounding in that way, and then, like, a lot less synth. So, and they don't do, like, a ton because they really just have that guitar, so it's not like they can bring a new thing in. So, like, between consecutive verses and choruses, it's very, very similar. It's a very straightforward cover. Of course, it's like shorter because it's more like the single version,
right?
And doesn't have like the extended intro. And even the solos are like very close, but just more distorted. So you like get this more punk attitude, which is a little different from the original, but not that different.
Yeah, to point, the biggest changes I'm going to bring up are in the first chorus. He says, "I ran both night and day."
Yeah,
it makes sense. That's
different, but
that's
it means
grammatically and legally correct.
Thing.
And then he drops "couldn't" and just says, "Get away,
get away,
get away,"
which could easily just be a flub.
Yeah, that could be a flub. That could be anything. That's, but yeah, like you said, the rest is pretty straightforward. It's pretty punky. The song, like we've been talking about, fits in both like from a values perspective and like a aesthetic perspective into punk pretty easily. So the fact that it gets picked up and put in the genre 6 years later, 5 years later, not surprising.
Yeah,
probably happened quite a few more times before this. What is maybe a little more surprising is that the singer of Cornflake Girl, Tori Amos, covers this in 2005.
And I ran so far away. I just ran all night and day. Couldn't get away.
Yeah, we haven't talked about her rather, for a long time, because we talked about it for Cornflake Girl and Smells Like Teen Spirit, and those were both in 2020.
Holy shit.
So that was a long time ago.
I was like, Cornflake Girl, we must have done that last year. No.
Nope. Yeah, we've talked about her before, but like I kind of forgot some of the trivia. Like she went to Johns Hopkins for music at age 5, and like that's so young.
That's insane.
Like like university level music at age 5 and like got kicked out for not listening or something. And it's like, of course, she was probably 7. Like, what do you think's gonna happen?
Kicked out for smoking
She's a
cigarettes
child.
or something.
Anyway, very funny. What she says is like she wanted to play rock and roll and they wanted to play like classical or something like that. Which is probably at least a little true. But also she was like...
Also, she was 5. But also, like, there's no... I don't know. You can't just, like... There has to be some kind of aptitude test they would go under before just being like, yeah, we'll chuck a 5-year-old in university classes.
Yeah, I don't know how that even makes sense.
Like, otherwise, like, you're just throwing a 5-year-old in there, and they're like, I don't want to do this right now, and they start crying and shit. And you're like, well, why do we put a 5-year-old in there again? There had to be some screening.
Yeah, okay, here, all right, so according to Wikipedia, she won a full scholarship to the Peabody Institute at Johns Hopkins University at age 5. Youngest person ever. And then she had to leave at the age of 11 when her scholarship was discontinued for what Rolling Stone described as musical insubordination.
That's incredible.
Which is, I mean, if I was Johns Hopkins University, I'd be like, great, you're very good at this music thing. Keep it up. Pat on the back. Why would I let you into this post-secondary? I don't know what the Peabody Institute is.
It's 6 years, though. 6 years passed before she is... kicked out.
It's a conservatory. I have no idea what that means. Anyway, it seems wild. Like when I was 5, I was barely conscious.
Okay, it's a prep school. It's the parent institution is Johns Hopkins, but it's not necessarily a university.
Sure. Okay.
So she was just in a private music school. This is a lot less interesting than
that is less interesting.
To be.
The way they describe it is like as a university.
Yeah, I thought we were getting like the Doogie Howser of music.
Exactly. Everyone else is like in their 20s, and there's this 5-year-old running around.
Yeah.
Like, just banging on a piano.
And being a fucking genius. That's not the case.
No, okay. That makes more sense.
This is just a private school focused in on music. So yeah, she gets kicked out for being a rebellious, like, almost teen, preteen.
Okay. Cool.
All of that makes sense.
All right, that's less exciting. I'm glad I told the story. That's not the first time I've told the story and not read enough about it to understand.
Yeah, you know what? It's at least we cracked it this time.
Anyway, Tori Amos.
Tori Amos
put an album out recently. She wrote a children's book and wrote a soundtrack for it called Tori and the Muses. That's just a recent update on what she's up to.
Cool. I like Tori Amos. Well, I don't know enough for music, but I like her every time she comes up.
Yeah, when we talk about her, she's usually pretty.
And she opens this up without a minute and a half of being some charming vamping here.
Yeah, talking about how it might be crap.
Yes, I have the full transcription here, courtesy of my fingers.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so brackets lip smacks. She smacks her lips. I knew a guy briefly who would just smack his fucking lips all the time. Like, between every sentence, drove me fucking crazy. So I think that's why I didn't really keyed in on that on this one. She's okay, so this could really be crap. I've gotten into this weird 80s thing. I'm allowed. I made an album then. So let me think about this little song. I got to get the right key. I did this. I played Taco Hour at the Bonaventure. Martini glasses up, everybody. So I think I got fired for playing songs like this. They said this is absolute trash. Why are you playing this shit? And do you know why? Because I wanted the hair. I wanted the hair. So these boys always went out with guys that had hair that I wanted. If you had big hair, you had a chance with me. And then she does some noises, did-a-ding, ba-ba-da-ding, da-ding-ding. Hang on, I'm a professional. And then the keys come in for real.
Yeah, which is, like you said, charming vamping.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
And then she plays the song, starting around a minute and a half in. And she is a professional, which she insists.
Yeah, I assume that ba-da-ding, 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 ding-ding is like the studio intro, like from the original.
Yeah, she's like yada yadaing over the studio intro.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And it lasts about the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like her whole intro.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so she's playing all on the piano. And you know, it's the solo piano version.
Mm-hmm.
So not a bad piano sound. It's got like she sets up a good like arpeggio. It moves at a decent clip.
Yes.
And then she kind of, when she gets to the chorus, you get like more chords, or at least like intervals, still moving pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I also like how she has this whole intro and then an intro for the song, and we don't know what song it is until she gets into the verse. Which
yeah, because she's dropping like hints. She's like, "It was the hair," and so you're like, and you know it's from the 80s. You know it's a band with hair. It could have been anything.
Yeah, could still be a lot. Yeah,
could have been fucking Motley Crue for all we know. But here's my thing: 2:25, we get the "Hypnotize Me So," and I think the first instance of somebody saying "hypnotize me so."
Hypnotize. Okay.
Hypnotize
I've heard
me.
that a lot in life.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I don't remember what it's called when you swap out a consonant sound like that.
Oh yeah, it's an error.
Yeah. But anyway,
not the last time we're going to hear it from one of these covers, but you notice it here a lot because, like we said, it's just piano and just her singing nice and close to the mic. So you really hypnotize me. And even I had to say it in the intro. I wrote it. I almost stumbled on it. Hypnotize.
It's easy to mix those up.
It's very easy. The difference is small. It's tough. It's tough, folks.
Yeah. But there's not a whole lot like different. She just keeps that like arpeggio up. Although in the second chorus, the piano kind of moves into a lower register. That's.
This is people wish they could do this sad soft piano cover, which is essentially what this is, but it's done by a pro. She's got some dynamics going on, and then she improvises some new lines around 4:30 maybe.
Ooh, I didn't write the timestamp down.
I didn't write the timestamp down either. But she ran away from the guns to a soldier I knew once.
Oh, right, the soldier stuff. I forgot to write it down.
Speaking of Linger, but yeah, that's here as well. Linger was about a soldier she fell in love with, Dolores O'Riordan Cranberries, because I know people might be thinking, aren't you thinking of Zombies, which is the song about their bombs and their guns and their guns and their bombs.
And their guns and their bombs?
And their bombs and their guns. But no, I'm talking about Linger. But yeah, she talks about, and it's fine. Like, it doesn't really make sense, but it doesn't not make sense.
Yeah. So
it feels like an Amosism. Like, if you were being Tori Amos, this is what you would throw in there. And in fact, that's what happened here.
Yeah, in fact, she did exactly that.
This one sounds good. It feels fun. We talk often about how, hearing this live would be fun. That's exactly what this is. She gives a fun intro on it. She plays it, she plays it for real. She's not hamming it up like she's Richard Cheese or anything. I think proven by her random ad lib of running from the guns. Like she's getting into this.
She's getting into it. The sound, you can hear cheering and stuff, and it's it's rubato. The tempo changes a little bit based on she slows down a bit and stops for emphasis at times.
Yeah.
And it's just her, so it works. She does a good job. It'd be very cool. Very different from Cornflake Girl.
Very different from Cornflake. Although, you could still tell it's Tori Amos, especially in the end when she's getting all dramatic with it. You're like, yeah, this is the Cornflake Girl.
This is her. This is
her. No, she never was a Cornflake Girl. People, listen to the song, listen to the episode, listen to us right now talk about the 2007 version by Cranial Screwtop.
Yeah, another punk rock version. These guys are English, though, and I got a little quote from their website, I think.
Sure.
No, their website's not in great shape. This might be from YouTube.
Okay,
anyway,
new with it.
Cranial Screwtop are an English punk-influenced rock band which plays 1980s pop songs in a punk style, comma, the only specialist covers band of its type currently in the UK. The band's sound is distinguished by their use of kazoos. That's really specific.
That's very specific.
There are a lot of rock bands, punk rock bands, that play covers of 80s songs, but that's their specialty.
That's their specialty in the only UK-based one.
In the UK.
And then they're further backing that up and be like, we're kazoo guys.
Which they don't play in this version.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't hear a single kazoo on here. This does bring me very quickly to what my main point, because naturally we've already had a punk cover this week. The difference is the Pink Lincolns are a punk rock band. Cranial Screwtop, by their own account, are a punk-inspired rock band.
Right. They're a cover band, too.
Pink Lincolns is punk. Cranial Screwtop is doing punk.
They do punk, right?
Yeah.
It's an aesthetic.
Yes. Yeah, so to bring it to that, Pink Lincolns has the value and the aesthetic.
Yeah.
Cranial Screwtop is just putting on the clothes. They're poseurs.
They very well may be. I mean, I don't feel comfortable leveling that criticism at them.
I live in the slums, dude. I can call anyone a poseur.
Yeah, I am not legit enough to say that, but I could see it being true.
I feel like it is true. And that's not to say that like, this version is fine. Aesthetically, it does hit punk. Vocally, I would say his vocals are a little leaning more towards pop or just classic rock, which is not a damnation. But indeed, when I'm comparing it to an authentic punk version we had earlier, you start to see the posurity of it all.
He's definitely doing a little more of the new wave thing.
Sure,
it feels a little more like grand. Overall, I called it like fast, loose, shouty, very guitar heavy again, and like punk. I mean, to further to what you were saying before, punk aesthetic.
Punk aesthetic.
The guitar, they're doing like a chugging guitar. This is more of like the direct punk translation, right? Yeah. You're getting the chugging guitar, and it stays pretty straightforward. The bass is all over the place.
Bass is moving, dude.
It's really moving. It's I feel like we've talked about this before. Sometimes it feels like in punk bands, they just like no one knows what to tell the bassist to do, so they're just like do whatever, and the bassist does whatever, and they're like, I'm gonna do like a run and then play down here for a while and then do like another big arpeggio here. And, like it's a lot of motion.
Yeah, a lot of motion. I think it's maybe a little like ska punk inspired, which is a subgenre of punk that I feel like really lets the bass have room and is maybe a little more technically linked to the technique side of music than straight punk is.
Because you kind of more often get the walking bass line.
Yes, you have a more technically proficient bass there, and then that bleeds over into regular punk, and you just get runs like this, which feel fun. I love it. As a bassist, I'm like, fuck, I should be doing more of this.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. A lot of motion.
Yeah. And I came out at these guys hard. I thought this version was fine. But just, I guess all this talk about punk values and punk aesthetic, I'm swinging now.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of what they... Other than that, it's a lot of, like, cymbal crashing.
It's
big
a real
drum fill
dig
where
in the
there
chorus.
is a fill before. And then they do have a guitar solo. I think it's copied as well. But
yeah,
like, it's
very faithful
fast.
to the original.
Very shouty. I said that already. Not terribly concerned with the original vocal melody.
Shouty, but not quite rough like the Pink Lincolns are.
True.
This guy couldn't be the voice of a labyrinth Muppet.
No, he couldn't. I don't think so.
So far away.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's this one. To wrap it up real quick, not Muppets, so F-. Let's talk about Jamaican Me Breakfast Club in 2017.
Let's talk about Jamaican Me Breakfast Club.
And I read so far away. I just read all night and day.
A New
Pop
Orleans-based
rock
cover
band
band.
from New Orleans.
Yeah, pop rock. That's a pun there. Pop rock steady.
Yeah.
Like the candy.
Like the candy.
Pop rocks.
Pop rocks.
So they play 70s and 80s hits and roots reggae style. These guys came up with a name first, I think, and then we're like, well, we should have a band.
They do seem to be that. Yeah, I had some trouble with these guys because, like, I went to their website or I found a picture, but it was like a producer of theirs or something. And there does seem to be a Facebook page of them. They have a Gmail account. They do have a website. But yeah, they're from New Orleans.
Nolans. Yeah, they open this up with like a record pop and hiss noise, like you're actually listening to some vinyl.
Yeah, you get that like crackle. That's nice. And then of course you set up your reggae beat.
Instantly.
Kind of, there's like a piano playing the main part. It's sort of like a bass line, yeah. And then like the guitar and the piano playing the skank. There's a wah guitar playing little licks, and then like quite like clicky drums with a little steel drum in there sometimes.
Yeah.
A lot of like fills and runs.
Yeah, their big section is this da-na-na-na.
Yeah, they have that a lot. And then
they'll
just like,
return to that,
wow. Nice guitar sound. I do like the sounds on this one.
Yeah, good tones on this. So it's more than just your classic, like, oh, reggae is a skank.
Yeah.
And a really chilled out dude singing the lyrics.
Singing the lyrics,
they go past that.
Maybe a toast.
Yeah.
It also, what else is in there? They have like backup singers. Female chorus.
Taunty Eyes.
What's that?
Taunty Eyes.
Taunty Eyes.
Taunty.
Is that a word that, or is that just
real?
An alternate pronunciation?
Know. I think that's them being like, your eyes are taunting me.
Oh, like taunt. I see.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
I first thought they said toddy eyes, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Like tater tots.
Hot toddy? Isn't that
hot
a drink?
Toddy, that is a drink. That is a beverage.
What else happens in this one? Did I say the chorus is like mostly vocal? You know?
Yeah.
When you get the like backups playing harmonies or singing harmonies?
Yeah. We also get Hypnotize Me again.
Hypnotize. Good line. What else happens? I mean, it's slower, you know? They slow it down so it's like long.
Yeah, we've lost any sense of urgency.
Yeah. Although it has kind of like a darkness to it.
Sure, yeah. We're playing a little bit darker reggae.
Yeah. So it has a bit of that like sinister aspect, which kind of works with the.
Yeah, he delivers it on stuff. Like vocally on the "couldn't get away" line. You're like, oh damn,
couldn't get away.
Yeah, just the use of drum fills in this. We got a lot of nice drum fills, great sounds.
Yep. What I kind of like, so there's a solo.
Yeah.
It's also a bit slower, similar to the way the vocals perform. They chew things up. There's a lot of chewing. The guitar does it. The vocals do it.
Really taking advantage of the echo on that guitar too.
Exactly, and the extra space from slowing it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, overall, I thought it was like a solid reggae version. I didn't know if it would work well slow or not, but it seems to, I think, work decently, especially, I mean, there's a bit of a build, they add organ and stuff, but I think it's like overall solid as a reggae version, if not like transcendent.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid. I was worried when we got the fake record effects in at the start. I was like, this is going to be real like cafe reggae bullshit.
Oh yeah.
But no, they pull it off. It sounds good. Yeah, like does this version need to be Iran bracket so far away? I don't know. It works well enough. I like the noises in it.
Right. It is one of those songs where it does feel like you could maybe slide a different 80s song in there and like it would work reasonably well.
Yeah, reasonably well. But I mean, they do good translations of like that guitar riff line on their guitar. That sounds good. The skank's working. The song works. It works for some reason. Now, Alex, you've got Dinah Eastwood next, but we're actually talking about the 2022 remix of her version.
We are. We were talking about the Lion Gold remix.
So instead, we're going to talk about Unwoman in 2020 first.
I ran so far away. I just ran. I ran all night and day. Couldn't get away.
All right. Because it's one woman.
One woman. We talked about her like 1,000 times. I thought
we
it's
have
actually
talked
been
about
twice.
Yeah, November Rain and Bad Blood are the other times we talked about it.
Yeah, she's a cellist. She's inspired by Tori Amos and Trent Reznor. So I wonder if she heard the Tori Amos version and was like, "Hey, I should get in on this."
Perhaps.
So this one's like ambient spooky. It's kind of the main vibe.
Yeah, she does that like dark edge a lot of the time. And did we mention she's a cellist?
Yeah, I did mention that.
Okay. Just wanted to throw that in there. So it's this kind of like dense string based, but like quite dark arrangement, which is, I think, kind of describes her style.
It very much is her style. With some like electronic drumming on this.
Right. Yeah, very electronic.
But done to spooky
drums.
effect.
There's actually like static added to that's the snare sound.
Yeah, that snare static.
And And then, I mean, a lot of strings, right? Like a lot of cellos. So
Yeah,
I do like the cello playing the guitar part. It plays the echoed part. But like it doesn't echo it. It plays back and forth.
Yeah, like pans it through your speakers. Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
Like you can play just because a cello can play like that.
And she manages to be spooky, but still keep that sense of movement just with the bowed cello, that dun 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 dun.
And then of course the da 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 also sounds pretty good on the cello.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of cello. There's a lot of cello on that.
A lot of cello.
I think it's good sounds for recreating the original arrangement. It is very similar, but the cello's like doing all this stuff, and there's like layers of cello.
Yeah, and she's got a good like Cranial Screwtop did this on the chorus too, but they really dig in on that chorus, dun 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 dun, real staccato stuff, and it gives it a good energy and a good shift from the verse. Dun,
yes,
dun dun.
Just like that main, the dun dun, not the riff.
Yeah, they're not doing the riff really there. Right. I think you got the cello doing the vocal melody, but yeah, it's that digging in there and the increase of that static snare.
When it's like quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool sounds. There's also a cello solo, about 2.5 minutes in, and then it goes into a breakdown verse.
Yeah.
Which involves a lot of like cacophony sounds as it goes. Don't know exactly what the sounds are being made are. There's a lot of just like sound.
Yeah.
Like in the background.
Yeah, we start just amping up whatever is in there or making this sort of cacophony of noises.
Exactly.
And then her backing vocals get in on this repetition of "Couldn't Get Away" in the back. That kind of takes us out.
Which makes it pretty spooky.
Yeah.
Couldn't get away.
Get away.
Her voice, we already talked about, it's a little lower. She's more like classical style of singing. Very smooth. It sounds trained.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the way she sings, it all adds to this like cool dark feeling. So I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think she kind of lands this playing. I think it works pretty well. Probably better than the Dinah Eastwood Lion Gold remix in 2022.
And I ran so far away. I just ran all night and day.
Yeah, I had a minute. I was like, should I put on the original or the remix? And I put the remix on. This is not Clint Eastwood's ex-wife, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I don't think so. She does jazz vocals. She likes jazz, is what I found out.
Exactly. This seems to be a bossa and chill out vocalist based in New York.
Yes.
And she does end up on like Vintage Cafe and like jazz 80s compilations and stuff. But this is, of course, a remix of a jazz version done by somebody called Lion Gold, which I couldn't find much on Lion Gold.
Composer and producer working in house music and breaks with a soulful essence.
There you go. Soulful essence.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
But
we got jazz on
when
this.
The essence is soulful.
We got freaking jazz. We come in with a little chimey, tinkly intro, and then boom, we're hitting some.
Yeah, it starts like jazz, pure jazz, sax, piano, upright bass, and then after a little while, the beat comes in. Not very long, a few seconds.
And the cats, the boots and the cats, yeah. We're
very electronic. And then you kind of get, it starts to like play with the sax and the piano are in the like background, so that it still plays the jazz instruments, but it's very much like this distant sound. It's lo-fi beats to study / relax to style.
Right. To get abducted to.
To get abducted to, exactly. Where you're getting like the beat is forward, but you're also getting like filtered down other instruments.
Right. It sounds like it's coming through.
Yeah.
Something else. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you feel about the sound? You kind of implied you weren't really into it.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling this one. I actually listened to the original mix and I liked it better. I thought there was more value in just the straight jazz fusion take than in this
solid soft jazz thing.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a lot of, I mean, just like we'll repeat this part and do the beat, right?
Yeah, I found the dance elements, the house elements, whatever they are, kind of repetitive, kind of boring, and they're not really bringing out the best. Like, the highest they can achieve is lo-fi beats to study to.
Yeah, which I did. I mean, I don't think that's like a bad sound necessarily, but it is also kind of a background sound.
Yeah, it's not the height of music.
Yeah, exactly. So this is definitely like that, of like, it's chill. I don't know if I would listen or put it on. If it was in the background, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, I would be upset, but I would be at a coffee shop and be like, what the fuck is this, Iran?
Yeah, exactly. I was at a nail salon yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And they do this all the time, but it's always like royalty-free cover, you know, that kind of thing. Like, I know this song, but it's definitely not the original, and this is like kind of like soft electronic cover. So these are all over the place.
Yeah, they're so this is part of that field. It's part of that background music. So I think it felt like when I listened to the original, and I didn't really do notes on the original, but there's something more genuine about coming at it from your jazz angle, even though it probably was just cafe jazz boss printed out and try and sell streaming. But it felt more authentic.
This is kind of a different version of that. But it also, like, I did find the parts I like the most were those. So we're taken from the original, right?
Yeah.
Like later on, you get these, like, I think they're shell chords, but there's like really like soft jazzy guitar chords.
Okay.
That play. That's fun. I like those. And then, yeah, when like the trumpet and the saxophone slip in and out, it's like, oh, they're there. Oh, they're gone. Oh,
yeah, I like that, and I did like that they were kind of minimalist with the sax, just these. Like we were dealing with some real like mood stuff here. Bringing a little noir into my alien abduction fiction. Like, that sounded kind of interesting to me. I also like the moment, and this is maybe the only really dance moment, is at 140 when the shining down on you line is echoed by sax and also a vocoder and shining down on you.
That's kind of my note on the backup vocals is like most of the time it's just like doubling up, but that time it gets repeated.
Yeah.
So that's fun. Shining down on you.
And that, to me, pretty cool. But yeah, otherwise, this one didn't really land for me.
Yeah, like, okay. I wasn't offended by it or anything.
No, I'm not angry at it. It's just like it doesn't do much for me. But what is going to do a lot for me is getting to our final verdicts, of which we got 3 categories today. The worst version, the best version, and the version most likely to be enjoyed by a literal flock of seagulls.
A literal flock of seagulls.
That's right. Joining us in the studio now, a literal flock of seagulls.
A flock of seagulls.
Alex, what's the worst version of this before you get to the best?
The worst version comes up first.
Yes. Doing it 6 years now.
Who can remember these things? I wouldn't say I hated any of them or anything like that. None of them like offended me strongly.
No.
Do you have a worst version?
You did just whisper Jamaican me breakfast to me as if you were trying to prime me for something. I might give it to Cranial Screwtop. I don't even think they were bad. I'm just like, I'm now in my punk rock phase here. I'm calling them posers. I'm calling them out.
Yeah,
fuck it. I'm giving it to Dinah Eastwood. I think the punk rock connection to this song is so easy to make that like it's hard to fault a version that is a punk sound alike.
Yeah. I thought, and everyone else did like a fine job. That one was the one where I was like, not really. I did like the reggae version actually.
Yeah, I liked
well enough. Version. But yeah, I didn't like hate the Lion Gold Dinah Eastwood, but I would probably give it to that one.
Yeah. Do you think it's Dinah or Dinah?
I have no idea.
Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah.
Yeah. With an H though.
Yeah, with an H. I don't know. Alex, what's the best version?
Good question.
Similarly to your nothing was really bad, I don't feel like there's a real standout here.
In terms of like really strong covers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of aesthetic consistency, I'm gonna give it to Unwoman just for that.
Yeah.
I did like the cello sounds. I think she's got a like pretty solid sound.
Yeah, she's not a bad musician.
And I think that it was like a pretty. It was like a good adaptation into that, and I liked the way that the riffs sounded on the cello. So I like hearing those.
And I think because she says she's like Tori Amos and Trent Reznor inspired, and I hear a bit of that, like Nine Inch Nails, mostly in that static snare. But that's kind of how she's bringing a little bit of the darkness to this. When you're slowing this version down about alien abductions, I do think you need to add darkness to it. And Jamaican Me Breakfast Club doesn't quite do that enough for me. They're still a little too vibed out. Like they're just like chilling as they get abducted, whereas Unwoman has a little bit of spookiness to her. She delivers on cello, like, and really a lot of cello. In a lot of ways, it's cello cut up and served 6 different ways in one 5-minute song, and that's pretty good. And I think the overall tone of it is as strong as well. So yeah, I agree. I think Unwoman is the best this week. But Alex, which one's for the birds, as they say?
Which one's for the birds? Which one would the birds like? I mean, what are the birds doing here, you know?
Think of seagulls.
Think of seagulls specifically. I mean,
they love garbage.
They're by the sea.
They're by the sea.
I mean, the most island associated one is the reggae cover.
Of course.
But that said, I'm trying to think if there's one that sounds most seagull-like.
That's going to be the Pink Lincolns, because they sound like wild animals.
They sound like wild animals. It to. All right. Because they sound like wild animals?
Yeah.
I'm just going to stick with the reggae beach thing.
The island vibes.
I don't even know if they have seagulls.
I don't know. I know they have seagulls in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah, which is not sea adjacent
Nor
at
is
all.
it tropical.
Do you have? Surely you have seagulls.
Oh, we got seagulls for fucking days out here, dude. We got big ass seagulls.
I just assume they're everywhere. They probably aren't.
They should just call them gulls now.
Yeah, that's what they are.
That's what they are, dude.
Yeah, that's my one. That's my pick.
Alex's one, and that's our final verdicts. If you got different opinions, similar opinions, want to talk to us about a version we didn't talk about, hit us up on the app Blue Sky, at Snaky Me, at Some Alex Wise Guy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. You can also email those to us at covermepod@gmail.com. Talk to us there. Be sure to rate and review us. We're on all the apps. We are on Amazon Podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Podurama, Pocket Cast, Podbean. Tell your friends, family, neighbors, and loved ones about us. What you can do this week to really get the word out there is befriend the crows in your neighborhood. This is a long process.
Yeah.
And then get them to somehow disseminate copies of this podcast or perhaps messages. Train them.
QR codes.
Yeah, QR codes, and get them to drop them off at doors and stuff. I know crows are good at retrieving things for you. You need to figure out how to do the opposite. I guess the more straightforward route would be to get carrier pigeons.
Guess so. We don't have a lot of those anymore.
No, we don't. Listen, folks, the birds. Cover Me is for the birds this week. Work it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that does it for today's episode of Cover Me. Thank you so much for listening. And as we always say on Cover Me, a cloud appears above your head. Cover Me comes shining down on you.